Hey, welcome back to my channel. This time I'm gonna report on a game that we did as a practice game for the Bloodstorm Return to Albion tournament, which is gonna happen at the end of October here in the Netherlands. It's gonna be a 3-round tournament with 1000 point armies. But in the first round you have one 1000 point army. In the second round you combine 2 of them, and then in the third round you combine 3 of them. In the end you'll be playing with 3000 points, and then in addition every single round you get a free giant. So just one giant per round. It's not cumulative or anything. But yeah, it's going to be good fun. There's going to be plenty of giants, which is why we return to Albion. And also in the third round, the giant is going to get the army special rules from the army that you're playing. So in the end, it's just going to be a lot of fun. We just are going to play a lot of different interesting scenarios that are mostly around revolving around scoring. So bringing scoring units is really important, and the giants, they also have scoring too, so they are really pivotal in what's going to happen on the battlefield. In addition, killing the enemy giant gives you points. Getting your giant to survive is going to give you points. So it's really different games from normal play and from ETC style play. So you also see some different armies. These are the armies of 2 of my friends that we used as during the practice day that we did at my place. And yeah, we're going to look at what's going to happen in their game. So I have done this before already sometime, where I reported on a game played by some other people. I have literally no idea what's going to happen in this game, so that is quite exciting. The only thing I know is that, the Vermin Swarm player plays his Vermin Demon as one of the giants, and his facing is towards the sword, so in this case it's going to be pointing upwards. I guess the Vermin Swarm player got his first turn, so in this scenario we play with ambush, and the ambushing units arrive from the side of the table. So I don't even know if first turn you get already ambushers, so I think maybe the Beast Herds player started here and he just moved his giant up to be in range of the objective, and then in his second turn, I think this should be the second turn then, he moved up his units that arrived from ambush. I don't know why the Minotaurs were able to march 12 inches, because normally when you arrive from ambush you are not allowed to march. But then, yeah, I would assume that this is kind of standard play for this first scenario, because basically it's hold the center, and then at the start of the game obviously you only have your giant to score. You could charge in on the enemy giant if you wanted to, and then you're gonna have 5 attacks. You hit on 4+, so that's gonna be 2 or 3 hits. You're gonna wound on 4+, so that's, or 3+ actually, because you do have a giant club. So that's gonna be 1 or 2 wounds, and then the enemy is gonna strike back at you. He's also gonna do 1 or 2 wounds, and then basically from that point on it's a bit of a toss-up who's gonna win the combat. First round you have a bit of an advantage of trying to go for it and try to break your enemy giant. However, I mean, it's kind of like 50-50 still who's gonna come out on top in the end. And the trouble is, do you want to risk losing your giant there? Do you want to risk just losing the objective, basically? Because it still takes a couple of turns for your reserves to arrive on the table and get to the center of the field. So for the first scenario, it's also quite valuable to have some scoring cavalry, or some other ways to really quickly eliminate the giant of the enemy, to prevent him from scoring the objective. Yeah, so scouting units, especially I think scouting wizards could be cool for this, if they have a high damage potential. Otherwise, scouting war machines like Dwarven Bolt Thrower, that could be cool because it starts on the table turn 1. However, it's still going to be affected quite heavily by terrain, of course. And also, just 1 Bolt Thrower, you're still going to take 3 turns to take a giant down, so I don't know how effective it's going to be. Anyway, in this game, the Beast Herd player played quite defensively with this giant, whilst the Vermin Swarm player played a bit more on the offense. I believe in the scenario rules it actually states that the center of your unit has to be within 6 inches of this objective, so that is something to really look out for when you're playing the scenario. But normally Bloodstorm is such an event that if your opponent kind of makes it clear that he definitely wants to be scoring with a piece, you as an opponent just remind him that it has to be the center of the unit rather than any part of the base that has to be within 6 inches. It's an event that rates sportsmanship quite highly, like the first place in the tournament, or the highest prize in the tournament is usually awarded for the most sporting player. So that kind of sets the tone for the tournament. As we can see here, I think this was a slight misplay by the Beast Herds player. And I think it's also a little bit the downside of how exactly you can measure things out on the table, because I wouldn't have expected these great weapon dudes to be able to get into the giant, with the other giant just on the other side of the giant, of the Beast Herds players. This giant naming is really confusing at times. Yeah, so the Bloodfur Praetorians, I think they are called now, the former Vermin Guard. They make easy work of the giant, mostly I think because of the Scorched Alchemist in the unit. So the Bloodfur Praetorians, they have bodyguard and great weapons. However, the Scorched Alchemist can, or the House Prefect with Scorched Alchemist can give him their entire unit lightning reflexes for 1 turn. I think that is what happened here, or maybe he actually saved it up for a turn later. But then you get lightning strike, so you strike at your agility instead of last with your great weapons. And that can make quite a difference with Vermin Swarm. Anyway, the new Vermin Swarm book, it's a really weird book to properly judge how strong it is, I find. Some aspects are definitely really, really strong. Some aspects are kinda dicey, kinda chance related. Like if you have to take a terror test with anything outside of your general and Eagle standard bubble, then it's going to be really dicey because you have Discipline 5 on most of your troops without any reroll or anything. However, if you do manage to get within range of your Eagle standard, then suddenly the Discipline becomes really reliable. Because the Eagle standard, it gives you minimized and rally around the flag within 6 inches. So then suddenly your Discipline 5 unit is going to be minimized and has a reroll on the Discipline, so you're actually doing a better job than a Discipline 8 unit with a reroll, I believe. So then suddenly you're really reliable in the Discipline tests that you have to take. Also, the 2 extra instances of Fight an Extra Rank, they do feel a bit wonky to me, a bit on the strong side, but we'll see. The Minotaurs, they do quite a lot of damage to the Vermin Swarm. Maybe they will be able to pull through on taking them out here. I don't know. I mean, there's only 3 Minotaurs left. Obviously, there is a character in there who's going to strike at a higher agility, I believe, than the regular Vermin Swarm. Bloodfurs. And the Bloodfurs anyway have great weapons. However, there's also still a giant in the field, obviously. And I believe at this point the mongrel herd is fleeing. They might have rallied, so they might still come back. However, the Vermin Swarm player definitely has more scoring units on the objective, near the objective, than the Beast Herd player, especially also since the giant is scoring 2. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a big win for the Vermin Swarm player, being able to eliminate the Beast Herd player's giant quite early in the game. I think this is really what the first round of this Bloodstorm tournament comes down to. It's like, can you remove the enemy giant quickly enough, and can you still score with your own giant during turns that your opponent still wants to prevent you from doing so. And then the supporting troops, yeah, I mean, we also played, well, I was playing against the Empire of Sun style army on the right side here in the screen. And yeah, we experienced that it takes quite a lot of time for any of your units to get to the center of the table to be able to score. Like, I had a unit that only arrived on the 3rd turn, and practically it could have gotten on the objective on turn 6, I believe. Maybe on turn 5, but the first turn you just move up, in my case, 5 inches because I'm an elf. Second turn you can march up 10 inches, and then third turn that you're on the table, which is going to be the turn 5 for me, you can move another 10 inches, but that is, then you move up 25 inches. It's a 5-foot table, which is 60 inches, so you have to be with the center of your unit within 24 inches. And that you can't even manage that with 25 inches of movement you have. Yeah, you can, but you have to go in a straight line. If you go in a straight line, then it's going to be fine. Yeah, that's going to be the first game for this matchup. Yeah, they're really quick games, they're really bloody games, and I think if you only play this format, then you quickly get tired of it, because basically you can just fine-tune your list to doing this, and I think you would see a lot of scouting support pieces that can start on the table to just delay the scoring of your opponent, and yeah, some fast scoring on your own behalf, and a way to get rid of the enemy giant. So that would be the primal ingredients, or the most important ingredients that you would need for this scenario. Next week we're going to look at the second scenario, and then afterwards we'll look into the third one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you the next time.